So the London Daily Star has an interesting article out here today. Filmmaker has proof the moon landings were a hoax. Controversial filmmaker Bart Seibel gives an explosive interview to Daily Star Online, insisting America has never set foot on the moon and the 1969 lunar landings were a hoax. Interesting, it's published the 7th year of November 2015, and I don't know if many of you know his work. But he has done some documentaries. I think he's done the one documentary that I've touched on in another video. But anyways, I thought it would be an interesting read that we could kind of read through here, and we'll just read it. The moon landings between 1969 and 1972 never took place and were staged by the U.S. intelligence community, a controversial filmmaker has claimed. Bart Seibel claims he has proof the CIA orchestrated the famous Apollo 11 moon landing, and believes no one has ever stepped on the lunar surface because it's too dangerous. Speaking exclusively to Daily Star Online, Seibel reckons mankind would have set up bases by now if it were possible to travel to the moon, and he believes the historic event took place in a film set and the crew were actors given instructions by the CIA through earpieces. Rockets designed in the 1960s, according to Seibel, were unable to exit the Earth's orbit and would never be able to resist a deadly radiation belt en route to the moon. Yet the manned Apollo 11 lunar landing on July 20th, 1969 is regarded as one of humanity's greatest achievements. Millions worldwide remember where they were the moment Neil Armstrong declared, "It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind." But Seibel claims that it's all a sham. The filmmaker has been on a mission since the age of 24 to prove the landings were a major cover-up. Seibel said he had obtained raw, unedited footage from NASA that were never released to the public, that features radio conversations between crew and a third confidential party that prompts the astronauts with what to say and when to speak. Goes on here to say, Seibel, who directed the film A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Moon, says, I consider it not a theory, I consider it a fact. For the first 3 years making the movie, I was under the idea it might not be true. Then I obtained the outtake reel. In the footage, a voice says talk before Armstrong relays back to Mission Control in Houston, NASA's headquarters. Seibel believes that the third-party voice he assumed from a CIA agent, prompting Armstrong to speak and what to say. The 51-year-old said, the idea of man setting foot on the moon is absurd, and said they were used to force the public's gaze away from the Vietnam War. Well, I think there's a lot more here, and I think that we need to get in contact with him and see kind of what he thinks of even the greater lie. But obviously, this could be one, there could be multiple reasons for it, to obtain the picture of the spinning ball, also to the Cold War with Russia, a lot of things, but it is, I would agree with him, it is absurd that they would have landed on the moon in the 1960s. If it was so easy in 1969, there would be bases on the moon by now, he added. Christopher Columbus sailed to the New World, and it's absurd to say they could do something that cannot be completed today. They, the public, cannot see it clearly because it's a religious event to them. I once spoke to a college professor and asked him if it was revealed Neil Armstrong didn't step foot on the moon, would they believe it? He said he still think it would be real. So you can see that a lot of people, it's so ingrained in their minds that even if the facts were to come out, people would still have a hard time believing it. Seibel cites the studies in aerospace engineer Wernher von Braun, another reason why humanity has yet to make it to the moon successfully. He said that the Van Allen belt, 272 miles from Earth, is impenetrable due to its high levels of radiation, and a space rocket capable of reaching the moon would need to be the size of the Empire State Building and the weight the same as the Queen Mary cruise liner. Seibel also claims that the moon is hit by Seibel also claims the moon is hit by mega micrometeorite storms every 48 hours capable of killing astronauts instantly and damaging spacecraft. While Seibel is adamant he has proof the landings are a hoax, he said his family has endured death threats and he took no enjoyment from researching the topic. He added, George Orwell said, "Who controls the past controls the future." Hopefully the truth will come out. Woodrow Wilson was the U.S. president in the 1920s, and he said there was a shadow government above him pulling the strings. I am going to put it all behind me. I've not enjoyed this process in the slightest. I've got kicked out of church. I've got unfriended by many people because of what I believe, that the moon landings are fake. It's been an interesting experience, but so be it. A lot of times in history, people are doing what is right for a price. Saville is not the only one who believes the moon landings were a hoax. Vladimir Malkin, the spokesman for the Russian government investigative community, called for an inquiry into the event after original NASA footage went missing. And yeah, a lot of NASA footage went missing. I think it was something like, if I'm not mistaken, something like 900 boxes. That's 12,000 reels of all the flight data, all the supposed data that would, I guess, prove that they landed on the moon. Showing altitude, showing all the details of the moon landing trips. Yes, that's right. They weren't damaged. They went missing. They don't know where they are. They've lost them. So from start to finish, it's kind of sad that it looks like he's not going to be continuing on because it's been really tough for him. This issue, like I said, it brings the worst out of people. You start questioning, the government. You start questioning the moon landing, But I think when it gets into even the crazier topics, like people are getting into right now, like the flat earth, it just seems preposterous. Why in the world would they lie about this? There has to be the reasons. Where are the motives? Where's the proof? But I think it's important, just if you at all have any type of critical thinking, even if you think it's silly, investigate it. Investigate the flat earth claims, because the flat earth claims all stem from sources like NASA showing how much they have lied, showing that the moon landing is an impossibility, showing that the Van Allen radiation belts, all of these things would, prevent them from doing what they've been, told that they've done. Everything from the Big Bang universe that they have told us about, all the stars being suns trillions of miles away, even the sun and the moon. Investigate these things, because really, if you're going on, whether it's Aristotle or whether it's Copernicus or whether it's certain people that came up with certain theories. I mean, do you understand that it's still called the theory of gravity? It's not a fact, ladies and gentlemen. I know when I first heard this, I thought it was insane. Really, of course there's gravity. How else would you explain it? But when you start looking into these things, you're going to find out that they have many, many questions. It's like missing links in evolution. They would say, oh, we're just missing, just a little thing here or there. It is massive gaps. There are lies from start to finish, from the Big Bang universe to evolution to our entire creation. It's important. Look to the Bible. I know it's a book, 6,000 years old. What could they have known? But did they know certain things? Has the Bible been true and tested throughout time? Throughout all of our lives, we have heard these, different stories that, it's been corrupted, or, there's errors. Find them. Time and time again, the Bible continually proves it to be true. From everything that we're finding, whether it was young Earth creationists saying that the Earth is only 6,000 years old. If you actually look into this, you will find an amazing amount. I'm talking an incredible amount of scientific data to support the fact that, yes, this is not millions and millions and trillions and billions, and they change it every day. It's hard to even keep track of how many billions of years old it is now. 1.45 billion. Oh no, it's 1.97 now, and then they change it to it's 3.71 billion. We were off by just 1 billion. We're very sorry about that, but now we know for sure. Well, they don't know, and that's the sad part. They keep making these things up. We keep just accepting it, believing it, and it's time to critically think about these things. At the beginning, when I first heard some of these theories, I thought they were insane. Okay, seriously. You guys have to be ridiculous. Really? You believe what? You don't believe that we're on a spinning ball flying through space? Come on. I mean, look at all the pictures. Well, wait a minute. What pictures? There is not many pictures out there. And that's what we're going to find when you start looking into all these things. One by one, wherever your proofs may be, start compiling them, start figuring this out. Because if it's not true, and no, they didn't land on the moon, and no, they can't get HD footage from the moon, they can't get a panning of a 360, even a 180 scan of the Earth from outer space. They're all still shots. I mean, start thinking about this. If they can't get a picture of Earth, NASA, and all its trillions of dollars that they've taken from the U.S. taxpayers, all of this money, all these amazing lenses and cameras. I mean, they got the Hubble telescope, for goodness sake, that can see, what, trillions of galaxies away. I mean, that is a lens. I mean, if I'm looking for a lens, I win the lottery, I want to get a lens like that because, hey, rather than seeing, a few miles away or, 50 miles away or, 5,000 miles away, I want to get a lens that I can take pictures of stuff that is trillion miles away. I mean, that's an incredible lens. It's silly, though. It's just nonsense. I mean, think about kind of technology. Not to mention that if you research even within telescopes, you'll see that they have curved glasses, all of these things to give the appearance that things are curved. Everyone says, well, wait a minute, everything out there is round, therefore the Earth might be round. Or the Earth should be round. I'm telling you right now, look into this. Look into the supposed curvature of the Earth. You're going to find that it's not the way it's meant. It's not what they have told us. Even from this nonsense, sitting on the moon with their little rover there. And where's that rover now? Well, no, we didn't go to the moon. Now we're taking it to Mars. But do you see any men in Mars? One interesting fact, we'll close this up. I've been talking here for over 10 minutes, so I just wanted to mention this. But if you think about the moon landing, I'm going to tell you right now what they say the moon is. They say the moon is about 280,000 miles away. Okay? Or 280,000 kilometers away. It's one of the two. Not sure. But anyways, it's in there somewhere. Do you know that since the supposed lunar landings on the moon, since the 1960s to 72, since then, man has only traveled 400 miles. Okay, 280,000 to the moon in 1960 to like 72. And then almost 50 years later, the furthest that man, and I'm talking about supposedly man-spaced, vehicles with men in it, orbiting space, the furthest they have gone is 400 miles. And that's only if you believe that. But 400 miles. Think about this seriously. How are we advancing with all this technology, and they've only gone 400 miles in the last 40 years, and yet back then they went 280,000. I mean, wake up, people. This is silly. I mean, you have to start looking into these things. I know it seems nuts. It seems crazy. But you have to look into it and just do it. Just do it. If anything, just do it for a laugh. Hey, I'm going to look into this critically because it's just so silly. These guys are morons. I mean, anyone that doesn't believe the Earth is a spinning ball flying through space, they have to be morons. They have to be, dropped on their head while they were children. You hear all these insults, but you really don't hear credible facts. You might hear mathematical formulas. You might hear, but what did Copernicus say? Or what did NASA just release to the public? Start using a critical mind. Look into it. Research it. Please. I'm asking you to just look into it and see. And if you're going to, start attacking it and think that it's moronic, at least have some serious, critical questions that the community can gather together and we can find answers for you, because there are answers when you find out all these things are false. So just like, this article, and he's investigating it, and unfortunately it looks like he's kind of, throwing in the towel because, he's getting death threats, and it's just been so hard on him researching this. I feel that, a lot of us are going to get probably even worse as the movement gets bigger. We get into the flat earth theory, showing that NASA is all a bunch of lies, that the trillions and trillions of galaxies that we've been told do not exist. Even to satellites, look into it. Just look into the other side. Well, wait a minute. We have all those, 15,000 satellites orbiting the Earth. Do we? Find a picture. Show a picture. I mean, surely they must have some pretty decent cameras on these satellites. find a picture. Find a picture of one satellite taking a picture of, a few other satellites, near orbit. You don't find it. It is a big scam. It is a big hoax. And hopefully, researching this in the community, a lot of people will wake up and understand that, yeah, it's just gone too far. A lot of this research needs to come out. It is coming out. We're grateful for that. I'm grateful for you. Thank you for subscribing. Continue to like, comment, share my stuff. Let's get the word out there. And if people think we're morons, so be it. Let's just see what their argument is. Let's just see what their comeback, if it's just name calling, well, they're just in defensive mode, and it's cognitive dissonance that's taking root right to the core, and you're seeing it, and you should be proud. God bless. Take care. Has never set foot on the moon, and the 1969 lunar landings were a hoax. Interesting, it's published the 7th year of November 2015, and I don't know if many of you know his work, but he has done some documentaries. I think he's done the one documentary that I've touched on in another video. But anyways, I thought it would be an interesting read that we could kind of read through here, and we'll just read it. The moon landings between 1969 and 1972 never took place and were staged by the U.S. intelligence. Claims that it's all a sham. The filmmaker has been on a mission since the age of 24 to prove the landings were a major cover-up. Several said he had obtained raw, unedited footage from NASA that were never released to the public, that features radio conversations between crew and a third confidential party that prompts the astronauts with what to say and when to speak. Goes on here to say, Cyril, who directed the film A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Moon, says, I consider it not a theory, I consider it a fact. So the London Daily Star has an interesting article out here today. Filmmaker has proof the moon landings were a hoax. Controversial filmmaker Bart Cyril gives an explosive interview to Daily Star Online, insisting America had through earpieces. Rockets designed in the 1960s, according to Cyril, were unable to exit the Earth's orbit and would never be able to resist a deadly radiation belt en route to the moon. Yet the manned Apollo 11 lunar landing on July 20th, 1969 is regarded as one of humanity's greatest achievements. Millions worldwide remember where they were the moment Neil Armstrong declared, "It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind." But Cyril's community, a controversial filmmaker, has claimed. Bart Cyril claims he has proof the CIA orchestrated the famous Apollo 11 moon landing and believes no one has ever stepped on the lunar surface because it's too dangerous. Speaking exclusively to Daily Star Online, Cyril reckons mankind would have set up bases by now if it were possible to travel to the moon. And he believes the historic event took place in a film set and the crew were actors given instructions by the CIA